Today's topic is how to pay funeral expenses. When you think about funeral expenses, the price can vary dramatically from one funeral to the next, depending on the family's personal choice of whether they pick out a 2 or 3 day visitation in the funeral service, whether they do a direct burial or direct cremation. All of these things equate into what the total cost of the funeral would be. Also, you get into what type casket you select, what type vault you select, and what cemetery you're going to be buried in that would add to the cost of the funeral. But how do you pay for these expenses? Well, made up in those expenses are also things like removal, picking the body up at the place of death, bringing them to the funeral home, whether the family chooses for the person to be embalmed, whether they have visitation for 1 night or 2 nights. Each of those things add to the cost of the funeral. The facilities themselves, the funeral home, whether you have it at the church or at the funeral home, the type hearse, the type flower car, all of those things equate into the total cost of the funeral. Some families choose to use a credit card. Some families choose to pay for the funeral expenses all at one time. Some families choose or have life insurance that they will assign to the funeral home to pay for the expenses. But in today's society, many families choose to prearrange or pay for the funeral in advance, meaning in advance of the need, in advance of the death. Many families come to the funeral home, they select the type service, the type casket, the type vault, the type arrangements that they want for themselves or a family member, and then the funeral home can get a total on what that cost would be at today's price. Then these individuals can put that on monthly payments on 3 years, 5 years, or 10 years down the road and make payments on the cost of the funeral. And the good thing about that is the funeral homes, many funeral homes, will lock in or guarantee that price be at today's price, and it may be 10 or 15 years down the road. The way they can do that is they have to take the funds that the family gives them and place that in some vehicle, either a trust fund or an insurance policy in the deceased's name that will accumulate or grow with interest from today till the time of need when the death occurs. So that's one of the ways that families today pay for the funeral expenses. The other is they use their life insurance. The other is some families divide the funeral cost up and to put it on credit cards and put 2 or 3 or 4 credit cards or 4 family members' credit cards so that each one of them can make the monthly payments. And some funeral homes also provide a payment plan to where the family can pay some minimal monthly payments for a 3 or 5 year period of time. So that's how funeral expenses are paid for.